Eric Brown, MOBO-Media, MOBO-Media. Hey, I thought I'd hit y'all with another story. Really, this is based on, something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the subject of mental health. And I don't tell this story lightly. I tell this story because a lot of folks, you hear comments from folks who say that people working in mental health oftentimes have to be crazy themselves. And I can say I've worked in mental health for a number of years, clinical settings. I'm degreed in mental health, so got a ton of experience in it. And I can tell you some of the folks working in mental health probably need mental help themselves. And so they're not always the sharpest pencil in the box. Let me tell you, I've worked with some folks that I've actually had to protect patients from some of these folks, and I'm dead serious. But I'm gonna tell a story about one such psychologist that just, I don't know, man. Something was going on with this dude, and we didn't know until it all hell broke loose. And here's the story. So one day I'm getting ready to go to work in Japan. I worked in a mental health clinic. We had about 20 people total working in the clinic. We got psychologists, we got a psychiatrist, we got a couple of social workers. We have substance abuse counselors. We have mental health technicians. We've got drug testing folks. Our clinic was made up. We did all that stuff for thousands of people on a military basis. So I go to work one morning, and one of our psychologists, at the time I think we had 3 psychologists. So one psychologist was a civilian psychologist. The Air Force does contract out to get civilian psychologists to deal with military members and their spouses, particularly overseas, because there's limitations on folks in uniform that can provide these services. So the Air Force goes and contract and pays for these specialties, these special services. And a lot of times they'll get into an agreement with them, like 2-3 year contracts. Overseas, I think it's a longer contract because you're overseas, and so you're making a large commitment. So I go to work. I go to work on the way to work. When I get to work, I noticed the psychologist hadn't got to work yet. Right? We're supposed to be at work at 7:30. Right? 8 o'clock rolls around. He's still not there. 8:30 rolls around. We start wondering. Okay, this guy's supposed to be at work at 7:30. It's 7 o'clock. He had a patient at 8:30, so the patient had to be taken off and handed over to another specialist in the clinic. So we're starting to discuss, hey, what's going on? We start making phone calls. He won't answer his phone. So what we ended up doing, myself was a ranking member in the clinic. I was one of the high ranking military members in the clinic. Actually, I oversaw the clinic. And so me and one of the, a gentleman that worked very close to me, another gentleman had some pretty good rank, military rank, that worked very close with me. Him and I made the decision going into this guy's, his home. And the leaders above me also asked us to go to his home because they were very concerned. This guy wasn't answering the phone. He hadn't gotten to work. They were concerned. And so me and the gentleman that worked with me, we go to his off-base Japanese apartment in Japan. We go to the apartment. We look through the windows, and lo and behold, it looks empty in this apartment. It looked like there was no furniture in there almost. But we noticed in the windows, and I didn't look too hard, but my friend, my co-worker counterpart there, he looks and he sees there's magazines all over the floor. And the magazines were porn magazines, pornography. Just all sort of craziness all over the floor, man. It was just the weirdest thing. We ended up getting keys to get inside the place to make sure the guy was not in there dead. But by that time, me and the gentleman I was with, we had left to go and look at another location we thought he might be at. And so from what I understand, they said they went through the apartment. Folks went through the apartment after we left, and it was just trashed out, and again, pornographic material all over the place. So we can't find him. Now it's about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Okay, now we're getting very concerned. Okay, what is the deal? So now we have to get more people involved than just the U.S. military people, the Air Force people, because we're in Japan. We got to get the local authorities involved because he's living off base, so it's in their jurisdiction. We get them involved, and they start looking everywhere for the guy, any place he could have been. And so I don't know how the hell the Japanese did it, but long story short, me and the guy looked everywhere for this guy and couldn't find him. Late on that afternoon, the Japanese authorities finally located him and his vehicle. And let me say that locating a vehicle in Japan like that that's the craziest thing. Just imagine being in New York and dropping a vehicle off in New York and you don't know where the vehicle is. Well, the Japanese are pretty good. I don't know how they knew where this car was. And Japanese have parking garages. It's not like just a parking lot. They got the parking lots, but they also have buildings with literally machines that take the car in and stack them inside the buildings. They're parking garages. But they were able to pinpoint what his vehicle was in his parking garage. They were able to pinpoint. I don't know how they did it. But Fast forward, they end up also locating the gentleman because they looked at police reports and see if anybody had any calls or any reports of crime. And just so happened, there was some a club owner that called the cops in Tokyo, Japan, which was, man, it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where he lived. About an hour and a half, 2 hours away. A local club owner called the cops and said there was a guy that was belligerent and causing a ruckus and just acting a fool. So the cops show up to the club, and what do they find? What do they find? The club owner kicked the guy out of the club. It was a gay club. Nothing against gays, but it was a gay club. Didn't even know they had a lot of gay clubs like that in Japan. It was a gay club. They kicked him out of the club, so the cops found this guy outside the club, on the curb, butt naked, drunk, like he had some sort of psychotic break, with a bag with him. Inside the bag he had some paperwork and some beers. My hand. I'm telling the truth. He was butt naked with the bag, with a couple of beers inside and some paperwork. The Japanese authorities immediately get this guy, cover him up, take him in, get him in a cell because they don't know what the hell's going on. They call the Air Force authorities. Our folks go down, get dispatched. The cops go down to get him. They bring him back to the Air Force hospital. And then you can't just, obviously you got to look at it as a medical condition because it looked like the guy had a psychotic break or something. Hell, he's a psychologist. He's there to help all the people on the base. So what they did, they had to do an assessment on him, clinical assessment on this guy, which it took a while, and so they wanted to treat him, and so for whatever he was going through, so they couldn't just send him back stateside. They actually had to keep him there at the hospital for a couple of weeks, and then we had to pull what's called chaperone duty for this guy. So they had him up on a certain floor of the hospital, and we had to pull shifts. The folks in the mental health clinic had to pull like 6-hour shifts to watch the guy, and because the reason there was folks in the mental health clinic because the leadership felt that the mental health folks were in the best position to deal with him. And I remember one day, man, it was my turn to watch this guy, and I'm just looking at this guy and just shaking my head like, man, you never know who the hell you're sitting in front of telling your problems to. And sometimes the guy would just want to walk around the hospital, just walk around the floor, just, I guess, exercise. And so I would literally have to walk behind and walk with the guy, and he'd just walk around, small talk, nothing major. And he was a nice guy. He wasn't a mean guy, anything like that. Just an oddball. So the main point of that story is you never know who the hell you're talking to. And yes, some people in mental health are disturbed. I've seen it for myself on more than one occasion. Not saying they're all disturbed. Hell, I'm in the mental health community. We're not all disturbed, but sometimes, depending on who sits in front of you, depending on the subject, you may have to break yourself a little bit to go a place. You may have to go to a dark place to get an understanding of what the hell the person's going through, to where their mind is. And so, I love this field. There are a lot of great people in the field, but there are a lot of people that need the help in the field that are working in the field. With that, this is Eric Brown, MOBO-Media. I thought I'd tell y'all this story. Never underestimate who is in front of you trying to so-called give you help, and when they're the ones that actually need the help. Y'all take care. Eric Brown, MOBO-Media. Bye-bye.